Do us a favour, plug me into a Sega!
The Sega Master System often gets a raw deal as far as Sega's consoles are concerned. The Mega Drive is the most popular, the Sega Saturn is the most underrated, the Dreamcast was Sega's epic last gasp hurrah. But the Sega Master System? It suffers in terms of reputation from its limited US library, and as a result it gets a pretty unfair comparison to the NES in the region. But in parts of the world outside of North America and Japan, the Sega Master System thrived, even beating out Nintendo in key areas. And it was well deserved too, with an excellent and diverse catalogue of games. But you know that already, don't you? That's why you're here. That's why you've got a Sega Master System, and as Sega's maiden worldwide games machine turns 40 years old this year, this is Dan the Mega Driver of the Sega guys with 10 games to get you started. In putting this list together, I wanted a variety of genres and experiences. This isn't my top 10 per se, or even just a 10 of the best video. Rather, it's a chance for new Sega Master System owners to play a range of genres, rather than just have the list dominated by, say, the console's numerous excellent platform games. So, with all that said, let's get into it. We start with Asterics, developed internally by Sega themselves and released in PAL territories in 1991. This licenses the famous Asterics the Ghoul graphic novels and turns their adventures into a platform game. Out of all the platformers on the Master System, including the 2 sequels to this game, why this one? Well, it plays absolutely brilliantly. You have 2 player characters to choose from, Asterix and his friend Obelix, who have different abilities. There are 8 stages and all of them are brilliantly designed. Sound and visuals too are absolutely top notch, and it stands out as one of the best platform games on the system, if not the entire generation. There are 8 stages split into rounds where you can alternate between the 2 characters, taking the duo all around Europe and into Egypt before the finale in Rome. It can even be enjoyed with 2 players, albeit taking turns a lot like the original Super Mario Bros. Games. If you're a fan of the little superpowered ghoul, much like I was when I was a kid when I read a number of the graphic novels and enjoyed a lot of the film adaptations, then you'll see that the license is used immaculately, as good as, if not better than, many of Sega's Disney games. Even without the brand recognition though, Asterix would remain highly recommended for your first 10 Master System games. So even though I said that I'd be restricting the number of platform games on this list, there's still a few that snuck through, and clearly I'd be completely remiss if I left off Sonic the Hedgehog. This was not a port of the Mega Drive title, rather a brand new game built from the ground up for 8-bit hardware. The stage design is more compact, but the sense of speed remains, albeit the game maintains a near perfect balance between speed and precision platforming. You don't need me to tell you that the sound and visuals are top notch too, with music by Sega legend Yuzo Koshiro, which is a stunning mix of new tracks and ones adapted from the Sega Mega Drive original. It being a Sonic game, there's very little that I need to do by way of explaining how you play it. It's the same setup as the first 16-bit game. 6 zones consisting of 3 acts, Sonic collects rings and Chaos Emeralds en route to the final confrontation with Dr. Robotnik. The Game Gear port is similar, but retains significant and fundamental differences to this SMS version, and aside from a fan-made C64 port, it's the Game Gear version which has seen many re-releases on multiple console compilations, making this 8-bit classic Sonic experience near enough exclusive to the hardware. The Master System actually has no shortage of epic RPGs and adventure games, but in my opinion, it's Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap, that you should prioritise for your early SMS playtime. Picking up straight after defeating the dragon at the end of Wonder Boy in Monsterland, our hero is inflicted with a curse that turns him into a lizard. Now he must find the cure to turn him back into human form and save the kingdom. It plays very similarly to Monsterland and Monster World, with the more open world approach of the latter. You'll need new equipment and items and even new forms to help you restore Wonder Boy and save the world. The different forms really do create a level of variety in the game not seen at any other point in the series. And it all melds beautifully into an adventure that is akin to, say, Castlevania Symphony of the Night or other Metroidvania games. Whether you're scaling walls as Mouse Man, soaring the skies as Eagle Man, or pulverising enemies as Lion Man, the adventure remains fresh and exciting all the way through. Sure, there's been ports and remakes all over, but it's a game that feels made for the Sega Master System, and as such, it's one that deserves to be played on its original system. Arcade ports are always interesting to recommend when it comes to retro gaming, when arcade perfect versions are often available and emulation also exists. Shinobi on the Master System does what many great Sega arcade translations do. It differentiates itself from the arcade with alternative design and mechanics. Sure, much of what made the arcade game a classic is here and intact, and the stage layouts are pretty much identical. You play as Sega's most famous Shinobi, Joe Musashi, making your way through the stages by taking out enemies with either your shurikens at long range or up close with your sword or kick. All of those attacks are managed with just one button, again like the arcade. You can jump between the upper and lower levels of stages to fight enemies and to rescue hostages, while magic also plays a part, again just like the arcade. But the game diverges in some key ways that make this Master System port unique and still worth your time in addition to the arcade experience. Here, Joe has a life bar as opposed to the one-hit kills of the arcade original. Hostages yield bonuses, but they aren't essential, and some of the enemy patterns in the game differ to the arcade. It's unmistakably the arcade game that you know and love, but at the same time, it's different. The mechanics have been changed to make the title more accommodating to the home audience, rather than its coin-guzzling counterpart. But it's still not an easy game. It offers a new experience for arcade veterans and a fair challenge for newcomers. So, this is yet another Sega icon that Master System owners should seek out immediately. Speaking of games that make changes to the original arcade experience, they don't get any more drastically different than Enduro Racer. In the arcade, this was a superscalar motorbike racer not unlike Hang On, but with a focus on off-road dirt biking and jumping. On the Master System, the game is switched to an isometric viewpoint, so rather than a superscalar port like Space Harrier or Hang On, you get a new experience entirely. It may not be the graphical powerhouse of the arcade, but what we get instead is a simple, yet fiendishly addictive racing game. Guiding your dirt bike rider around the diagonal track seems simple at first, but you'll soon find yourself struggling to make times. That's because ramps slow you down, and, similar to the arcade, you'll need to pull the front of your wheel up at the right moment to maintain your speed. The Western release was unfortunately cut in half to handle the smaller ROM size, so you'll want to play the Japanese original where you can, but either way, this is an essential game for your Master System collection. Sega consoles are frequently blessed with quality shoot-em-ups, and while the Master System has some excellent ports of R-Type and Darius 2, it's Power Strike 2 that takes the crown. An entry to Compile's Alesti franchise, Power Strike 2 is a top-down vertically scrolling shoot-em-up that sees you hunt down the most wanted sky pirates in the world. I just hope that the Blue Rogues are okay, honestly. Anyway, this game is a graphical tour de force on the Master System. At times, it feels like a bullet hell shooter with reams of enemies and their firepower filling the screen. Unlike other games on the console, however, there's very minimal flicker or slowdown, and the impressively colourful visuals hold up all through the gameplay. During play, there is an abundance of weapons that you can pick up and power up to best fit your style of play. Each stage ends with a battle against your Sky Pirate bounty in their gigantic warship, and these are epic in their own way. The game is tough, like most in the genre, but 6 difficulty levels do allow some flexibility. Quite honestly, as far as 8-bit shoot-em-ups go, they really don't get much better than this. If you're after a physical version, it may be a bit on the pricey side, but hey, that's what flashcards are for, right? Alex Kidd had to appear on this list at some point, right? Well, it's not Miracle World, it's actually the best Alex Kidd game. Yes, Alex Kidd in Shinobi World was released in 1990, and this game started out in development as the Shinobi Kid, until it was retooled to use Sega's pre-Sonic mascot. As you may have noticed, it's a parody of sorts of Shinobi, but it plays far more like a typical platform game. Unlike other entries in the series, it's fast paced and the combat is satisfying. Alex has a number of moves such as the wall jump, crouching attacks, and this move where he spins around a pole until he becomes a flaming human death missile. There are 4 worlds, each with 3 stages, all filled with secrets and hidden items. It's not the longest game, and it's actually fairly easy until you get to the final boss, but it's easily the most enjoyable and polished game in the Alex Kidd series. Depending on what Master System console you have, Miracle World may be built into your hardware, but even if it is, Alex Kidd in Shinobi World is the one that you want to play first. The Ninja is a Master System mainstay, at least it was here in the UK, where copies are almost as common as Sonic the Hedgehog. While its budget price may have helped it in that regard, the Ninja is also a fantastic game and quite significant in terms of Sega's history and lineage. You see, it's effectively a remix port of Sega's classic Ninja Princess. Ninja Princess itself being a revolutionary top-down run and gun that preceded both Commando and Gunsmoke. So what we have is a simple yet challenging arcade action affair. You move your character up the screen, battling waves of enemies with your throwing stars. One button throws straight up, allowing you to strafe, while the other throws in the direction that you're facing. Pressing both together makes you disappear in a cloud of smoke. It's challenging with 12 stages, 13 in the Japanese version, and the requirement to find 5 secret scrolls to finish the game properly. It also looks and sounds great for the hardware, with bold, colourful visuals and a soundtrack that absolutely slaps. While platform games are in abundance on the Master System, as I said earlier, it's also tricky to pick from the various adventure and role-playing games. However, alongside Wonder Boy 3, if you're looking for another epic to really sink your teeth into, my recommendation is Golden Axe Warrior. Look familiar? Well, while the game isn't famous, it, rather shamelessly, takes inspiration from the Legend of Zelda, as you can obviously see. But this is no pale imitation. What is contained within this title is an adventure that rivals Nintendo's, while also making use of the Golden Axe universe. Golden Axe Warrior plays almost exactly as you'd expect, with a top-down 2-button control system, a shield that guards automatically against enemy attacks as you take down enemy foes, collect currency and solve the riddle of the various dungeons. It's a good looking game too, taking advantage of the Master System's increased colour palette compared to its Nintendo inspiration. I also find it much more approachable than the original NES Zelda, with more NPCs and dialogue helping your warrior on his way. Is it a shameless copy? Well, yeah, but it's also a very good one. And while something like Fantasy Star with its merciless difficulty and reliance on grinding will appeal to RPG diehards, Golden Axe Warrior is an easy recommendation for those starting out on their SMS journey. Another arcade port, and another where there are some noticeable cutbacks. Double Dragon was one of the biggest games in the world in its arcade heyday. In the home, many will wax lyrical about the Master System versus the NES port, but the reality is, the Nintendo version is a remix of sorts, and single player only. The Master System version makes amends, with a full-blown 2-player mode and arcade-accurate stage layouts. While the visuals have taken a hit compared to the arcade, they're still far superior to the NES version. And you also have the full moves list available from the very start, as well as more enemies on screen at once. Now, is this the best beat 'em up you'll ever play? Look, Double Dragon is the grandfather of the scrolling beat 'em up genre. It came first, and so, understandably, it has aged a little. There are even better belt scrollers on the Sega Master System itself, with solid versions of the first 2 Streets of Rage games as well as Renegade. But none of those games feature simultaneous co-op gameplay, and that is why Double Dragon sits on this list. Sure, the collision detection may seem clunky, which, to be honest, is actually arcade accurate, but the game itself is still incredibly fun, and it's also a slice of history, being especially enjoyable with a friend. It also has infinite continues, well, at least for every stage up until the last one, unless of course you use the cheat code. In any case, this port still captures the hearts and minds of old school gamers all over, And while many will laud the Nintendo port for its remixed approach with tighter collision detection, the Master System version remains perhaps the most enjoyable way to play a port of the arcade original in the home. So there we have it, 10 Master System games to get you started. I'll have to admit, it wasn't easy to narrow this list down to 10, and I left off some heavy hitters in the name of balance and variety. The bottom line though is that there are hundreds of games to experience on Sega's first major home console. So grab your 2-button pad and maybe a friend and get stuck in. And if you have your own suggestions, let us know in the comments below or in the Sega Guys Discord. And if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe, as that really helps the channel. But until next time, we will see you on the Sega side.